Hi everyone, my name is Eben and welcome back to How Do You Do? This is the second episode and again this is an episode about Koali because as most of you have probably seen the new episode, you guessed it right, I was the secret builder Mike was talking about. And because I didn't have time to do anything for my own zoo, Tarmashadi, I decided to record another episode of How Do You Do? Where I kind of explain how I build all the things that I've built. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. There's going to be a few items that I've made because there were questions about it during the episode, or I've seen people ask me how I built these things, and then I'll give you guys the glimpse of how the hotel actually came to be. Now, we'll start by this item, which was a closet that was featured in the classroom in Reptile House. So importantly, I started with decorating the Reptile House with these carpet pieces, and I all gave it the same color so that the floor actually looked very museum-y, classroom-y. So yeah, that was the first thing that I did in the room to really make it look like a classroom. But this was the closet that Mike was talking about, and he wanted to know which piece that I used. Well, these are actually simply windows again. This is one of the window pieces from the original Planet Zoo, and it has a very beautiful wooden texture. It's recolorable, so it can do whatever you want, and it has two different colors, so you have this nice windowsill that you can see at the edge of the closet. So yeah, again, it's the same technique as I mentioned in my previous episode. Use windows and use doors to form objects. They can be very flat surfaces whenever you need them. Like this is also a window. This is one of my favorite windows, the Planet Zoo wall window. It is very versatile, and you can actually use it to color it so it looks like the plaster walls. And this is a thinner version than this one, the plaster wall panel. So you can actually use this if you have like a building that you've been covering with plaster walls, and this one is too wide for you, you can basically use this one. Alright, on to the next item. So this is one of the other things that I made. You might have not, we haven't really talked about it in the episode, but the entire hotel uses this tiled floor. So this is a trick that I've actually used quite a lot already. I've used it on mostly these plaster wall floor pieces, but for the first time I've used it here as well on the opaque glass walls. So it's actually quite simple. I'll just drag it up and you'll see what I've done. To make the individual tiles, I just used the thinnest plank pieces. Whoa. There we go. I'll remove this. And there you have it. It's simply just a pattern made using very thin plank pieces. And that way you can actually have a very tiled look for your floors without using like tons of different pieces. It's a very simple trick. I've seen some people use it, but I haven't seen it quite often. You can basically use whatever plank you want. I usually use these, so the thin ones, because those are thin enough to get like the line that you want, but you can also use the slightly thicker ones if you want thicker lines. So yeah, this is a very simple technique and a very piece efficient technique to get really cool tiled floors. So yeah, certainly use this one. It's a very useful trick and it will make any flooring you've made look much better without upping the piece count to a point that you can't play. So yeah, let's get on and move to the next item. This was one of the seating areas in the hotel. And again, this is used using several very basic pieces. As you can see, the flooring was just made with this Arctic fabric. This one is actually much better than the African fabric, because if you recolor the African fabric and zoom out, the pattern is always visible, whilst with these guys, they are very clear, they are very clean, and you can recolor them to whatever you want without it sticking out. Now, the actual cushions of the seat are made using this piece, the Indian fascia panel. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this piece is such an amazing piece when it comes to making cushions, making any kind of item that has to look like a cushion or a bench, or like a piece of fabric that was span across something. Yeah, it is really versatile. You can recolor it, so it's perfect for this for these kinds of things. And I've used it in so many different builds so far. As you might remember, in the reptile house there was also this little seating corner. They used the exact same pieces but in blue. I also used these on the seats for the relax area by the river. And you might have noticed it when I pulled out the cushion. The sides of this bench are just the windows again. So yeah, again, just use the back of windows. They are so versatile. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that you have to make the light color black, because in Sandbox most of us play with power on for everything, and if you don't turn this light color to black, you'll get something like this. And well, let's just say it isn't what you want. Okay, it actually works fine because I didn't because it's turned inside out. But but in some cases you actually get this flare, and that's really not what you want. So try to keep it in mind. I always do it when I use it for the first time, so that I never forget it. So in this case it was fine, in other cases it might not be as fine. But yeah, this is again a very simple item, very easy to use, and you can make very cool things with it. On to the next one. This is a dual object this time. I made a table on wheels and a trolley cart that is also on wheels, and you can actually already see what the wheels of the trolley are made of. But let's start with this one. I used the doors to get the very cool metal look on the table, but the wheels are made using these pieces. The New World banner posts, those actually are really cool, and if you combine those with the copper posts, it actually looks like a wheel. So yeah. And here, this is something that we talked about in the episode as well. But for the trolleys, I actually used something different, because I didn't want to reuse the same piece here. I wanted to experiment, and I noticed something. The Arctic banners have this cool round shape, and if you drag all the other part of the flag into the ground, you get these cool little wheels. So yeah, again, it's just using pieces in a very, I want to say in a very clever way, but that like feels like I'm giving myself compliments. But I think Mike has described this on Bro Nation in a very cool way. It's essentially looking at pieces and looking at them for their texture and the shape, instead of looking at them like they are just for what they are. Like, I didn't look at the flag piece as it like, okay, this is a flag. No, I looked at the flag piece and I saw these two rings, and I thought, okay, these rings could be cool on a cart or something like that. So yeah, I've used them here. The only downside is of course that you've got these holes in them, but yeah, it's a nice effect, so I don't really mind. Okay, on to the next subject. So this is something that I'm really proud of. I made a kitchen area, and you've seen that in the episode as well. This is the same piece, I just turned it around. So this side has a bunch of ovens, and this side has the ingredient table. So now, one of the things that was asked during the episode is that, like, even do you spend a lot of time searching for the items? And like I said in the episode, no. By now I kind of have a feeling of what I can use, because I've made several kitchens already, several staff areas, and these items are things that always return. This is one of the coolest items for me personally to use in kitchens, staff areas, whatever. It's again a door. I turned it upside down, and if you sink it in, it looks like cabinets because it has these little handles over here. And the coolest thing about this piece is this is again recolorable. So you can do so many cool things with it. It is honestly one of my favorite pieces to make kitchens, staff areas. Yeah, it's my go-to piece. So by now I kind of know how to use it. And once you start using this, you'll find new pieces that you can use alongside it, and you can create things that you really like. So this was something that wasn't really visible in the episode itself, but this is a ingredient station. And again, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it, I've used the Planet Zoo walls. This is a shorter version, and it was perfect really to get like these little tray-like features. And the food was actually just a combination of these Indian apples and an art shape below it. That way it seems like there's more below it than there actually is. So yeah. And for the other side, I've made like this salad-like thing, and that is just made using the recolorable flowers. And these large pineapple slices are just the bracket pieces. And talking about pineapples, here you have the pineapple pizza. Debate in the comments whether pineapple should be on pizza or not. I don't care, I like it. But yeah, the pizza was made using all kinds of art shapes. So like these ones in a whitish tan. These are the big cylinders in red for the tomato sauce, and the pineapple pieces were again the bracket pieces, and the spices or the herbs are bracket pieces again. The ham pieces are something else, and I'm going to try my best to select one of them. Yeah, it's one of those brace pieces. So it's like with all the other pieces, it's just looking at pieces for what they can be rather than for what they are. And if you do this, and if you do this quite a few times, you'll slowly create these patterns in your way of thinking, and you'll think, oh, I need like a flat piece, so I'll use a window, or I need like a very small flat piece, oh, I will use that bracket piece. So all in all, it's just slowly developing patterns in your way of thinking, and then you can very quickly assemble things and create new things. So I've seen a lot of people on Discord saying that they would never be able to build something like this, but really it isn't that difficult. It isn't really magic at all, and I'm 100% sure that everyone is able to do it. It's just looking at pieces and switching your brain off and stop thinking about a door as a door. Just see it as a big surface with a kind of texture and with a kind of color. If you do that, you'll easily discover new ways to use pieces, and that is what these games are all about. Yeah, so enough rambling about pieces. I'm going to show you guys how the hotel came to be. And yeah, I'll just show you what happened. So when we started working on the hotel, Mike gave me this very basic shape of what he wanted. This was something he threw together quite quickly and just sent it over, and I was like, yeah, I need something like this. And this was perfect because he gave me a drawing of the general shape and I didn't need to do much more. The thing is, this is a perfect way of doing things. If you ever do a collaboration and you want someone else to build something for you, give them a very easy general shape and let them do as much research as they want, because then you get so inspired and you can kind of find a way to do what you want to do. Now, we started with this shape, so I quickly started looking for, and yeah, there we are. So this was the first basic shape I made of a room. I quickly wanted to have like the basic structure of it, so I knew how big a room would be, how big the pieces in the room would have to be, and I knew which areas that were going to be visible, so the areas that I had to decorate on the inside. I knew how big the deck would be. So yeah, I had a general idea of what I wanted to do. Then we tested it. I put these small rooms inside the bigger structure. We placed it in the park and we decided, okay, this is the way we want to go. These sightlines are the ones that we want. We can continue. So then my next step was actually creating the interior of a single room. That way I could copy paste the room and I could just make each room look identical, and I knew that I didn't have to do it over and over and over again. So this is what the rooms looks like on the inside. It's quite basic because, all jokes aside, I kind of do want Sylph to be able to open the file, so I did try to tone it down a bit in the rooms itself. But yeah, the piece count of this entire hotel is just enormous. Some of the pieces that I used, this was one of the fans from Mike, the ones that Mike made. I just added this African piece over here to make it look a little bit more, fancy, I don't know. So this is one of the Asian signs that I used. I'm going to get the UI back, and yeah, I just colored it a bit, so the room itself doesn't look that bare. And the bed was made using art shapes, these sag pieces, and of course, you've all guessed it, my favorite window pieces. Yeah. So the inspiration for these rooms came from several hotel rooms from Bali, combined with hotel rooms from safari hotels, which were a big inspiration for this hotel. And I tried to incorporate like both African and Asian elements in this. So there are a lot of African themed objects, but I also brought in these Asian pieces so that you will actually get still get the feeling that you're in a zoo in Indonesia first and foremost, but you're just in an African themed hotel. And this is also a quite nice piece. This is, oh, I need to stop hiding the UI whenever I'm doing this. And why can't I select anything? Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is again an African window piece. This is one of my favorite pieces to create roofs with. They are used in the breakfast buffet area. They are used in the roofs for the entrance of the hotel. So yeah, those are like the basic shapes that I use. And if you're underneath it, it really looks like this African texture. So yeah, once all of this was in place, I made a first draft of the hotel, and then Mike came along and he used the hotels that I made, so these big blocks, and he said, well yeah, I kind of want these elevators and I want like this, and he created rooms. So I didn't lie when I said in the video that Mike tore apart the hotel. But it was for the best. He created an amazing looking setup, and that I just had to fill in. And it created what we have today. So yeah, this was How Do You Do, the second episode. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope that if you're new to the channel, first of all, welcome. And second of all, my current zoo that I'm building is called Dharmashari. It's a zoo in Thailand, and it was inspired by the Koali Zoo, but also by a zoo from ZWED 2, which is called Bukit Timah, which was made by Yannick. He's on Bro Nation as well. He doesn't show that much pictures of what he's doing, but whenever he does, he blows me away. So Yannick, you're doing a great job, man. Please keep showing us more, because it's really amazing. He originally made the zoo for ZWED 2, and now he's making a similar version for Planet Zoo. So yeah, if you haven't seen Dharmashari yet, there's a playlist on my channel. I will link it in the card at the end of the video. Yeah, and give it a watch. I think you'll see some things that you'll really like, and you'll see some things similar to the things that I've built in Koali. Again, I want to thank you all for watching. You know, you can subscribe, like, or comment, do whatever you like. Don't feel obligated to do any of these things. I hope you had a nice time, and see you next time. Bye.